The day Marcus signed the divorce papers, he told himself the hardest part of his life was finally over. He was wrong. The hardest part was standing in a hospital corridor 3 years later, holding the hand of a 7-year-old boy who wasn't even his son, listening to a doctor explain that without a bone marrow transplant, little Caleb had maybe 60 days left to live. If you believe in second chances and the quiet miracles that happen when broken people choose love over pride, please like this video, drop a comment below, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Corner, because stories like this one deserve to be heard. Marcus had built his life back slowly after the divorce, the way a man rebuilds a house after a fire, one careful brick at a time, never quite trusting the walls again. He had his daughter, Lily, who was 9 and fierce and laughed exactly like her mother used to before everything fell apart. He had his small contracting business, his modest house on Elm Street with the broken porch step he kept meaning to fix, and a routine that kept him sane. He did not have peace, not really, but he had structure, and for a long time he told himself that was enough. His ex-wife, Dana, had moved on fast. She remarried within a year, had a son named Caleb with her new husband, and then that marriage collapsed too, leaving her alone with a toddler and a stack of bills that grew taller every month. Marcus had no bitterness left for Dana, the anger had burned itself out long ago, leaving only a dull, tired understanding that two people could love each other and still be completely wrong for each other. He wished her well from a distance. He did not expect her sister to walk back into his life. Elena had always been the quieter one. Where Dana was electric and impulsive, Elena moved through the world gently, like someone who had learned early that softness was not weakness but a different kind of strength. Marcus had known her during the marriage the way you know the background of a painting, always present, never quite in focus. She had been kind to Lily even after the divorce, sending birthday cards, dropping off cookies at Christmas, asking nothing in return. When Dana's second marriage fell apart, it was Elena who moved in to help raise Caleb, working double shifts as a nurse and still somehow finding time to read him bedtime stories and teach him how to tie his shoes. When Caleb got sick, the world Elena had built around that little boy began to crack at the seams. The leukemia came quietly, the way the worst things always do. One week Caleb was chasing fireflies in the backyard, and the next he was pale and exhausted, and the week after that there were doctors speaking in careful voices about percentages and timelines. Dana, shattered by guilt and grief, disappeared into herself in the way fragile people sometimes do when the weight becomes unbearable. It fell to Elena to navigate the hospital paperwork, the insurance calls, the terrifying conversations with oncologists who used words like aggressive and resistant and unlikely. She did it all without falling apart, because Caleb needed her to hold together, and Elena had never once in her life chosen her own comfort over someone else's need. It was Lily who told Marcus. She had stayed close to Caleb the way older children sometimes attach themselves to younger ones, with a fierce, instinctive protectiveness. She came to Marcus one evening while he was fixing that broken porch step and said, in the plain, devastating way children sometimes deliver impossible truths, that Caleb was going to die unless someone helped him. Marcus put down his hammer. He sat on the step for a long time after Lily went inside. Then he picked up his phone and called Elena. He didn't know what he intended to say. What came out was simple, that he wanted to help, that he didn't know how, but that he wasn't going to stand at a distance and watch a child suffer if there was anything at all he could do. Elena was quiet on the other end for a moment, and then she told him, in a voice stripped of everything except exhaustion and honesty, that Caleb needed a bone marrow donor and that the transplant program required a next-of-kin sponsor with stable income and insurance to qualify for the experimental treatment trial. Dana couldn't qualify. Elena's own insurance had a gap. The system, as it so often does to people who need it most, had closed every door. What Marcus did next surprised even himself. He proposed. Not from romance, not from some old buried feeling, but from the kind of clear, uncomplicated certainty that only comes when a person stops overthinking and simply does what is right. He told Elena he would marry her legally, add Caleb to his insurance, sponsor the transplant trial, and asked nothing from her except the chance to help a child live. He told her she could walk away the moment Caleb was safe. He meant every word. Elena said yes. She said it the way someone says yes to a lifeboat, not because they wanted to be drowning in the first place, but because surviving matters more than pride. The wedding was at the courthouse on a Tuesday morning. Lily wore her Easter dress. Caleb, thin and tired, wore a clip-on tie that Marcus had bought him as a joke and that made the boy laugh for the first time in weeks. Dana did not come. The judge was brief and kind. Afterward they went for pancakes, and Caleb ate half a stack and fell asleep in the booth, his head resting against Elena's arm, and Marcus looked across the table at this woman who had chosen a child's life over her own comfort and felt something shift quietly inside his chest. The months that followed were the hardest and the strangest of Marcus's life. He drove Caleb to treatments. He learned how to administer anti-nausea medication and how to read a blood count report and how to make the particular kind of chicken soup that Caleb could keep down on bad days. He watched Elena move through their shared house with a grace that made the ordinary feel sacred, the way she folded laundry, the way she checked on Caleb 3 times each night, the way she sometimes sat at the kitchen table after everyone was asleep, and he would find her there and make her tea without asking, because some people are so busy carrying everyone else that they forget they are allowed to be tired. Lily began calling her Miss Elena and then just Elena and then, one evening without ceremony or announcement, simply Mom, and Elena had pressed her hand over her mouth and her eyes had filled, and Marcus had quietly left the room because some moments are too tender to witness directly. The transplant worked. It worked slowly and then all at once, the way healing always does, 2 steps forward, 1 terrifying step back, and then one morning Caleb woke up and asked for cereal and complained that the television remote was missing, and the doctor used the word remission like it was an ordinary word, like it hadn't just rearranged the entire universe. Marcus had expected relief. He had not expected to realize, standing in that hospital room watching Elena hold Caleb while Lily danced in the doorway, that somewhere between courthouse paperwork and midnight soup and folded laundry and kitchen table silence, he had stopped thinking of this as a temporary arrangement. He had not expected to love her. But love, it turns out, does not ask permission. It simply arrives, quiet and certain, in the spaces between all the things you do for someone else without keeping score. He fixed the porch step that weekend. It seemed like the right time. If this story moved something in you, if it reminded you that kindness is never wasted and that ordinary people do extraordinary things every single day, please drop the word Caleb in the comments below so we know you made it to the end. It means more than you know. And if this story touched your heart, please give it a like, share it with someone who needs to believe in good people today, and subscribe to Kindness Corner, because the world has enough noise, and we could all use a little more of this.